but they rename all of their towns. They continue that all the way down into the highlands of Guatemala.
The Aztec Empire was enormously powerful. They were able to network amongst these cities, and they were a highly sophisticated civilization that had greater technological capability, or certainly pyramid building capability. Mathematics and astronomy were at the center of Aztec culture, and it suggests that they were great watchers of the stars. Their math, their science was well advanced for their time. As their lands grew, the Aztec Empire flourished. They established vast trade networks, developed an advanced accounting system, and created a sophisticated justice system.
Among the many things that characterize the spectacular nature of the Aztec culture are things like the economy that was reaching to the furthest parts of Mesoamerica to obtain exotic goods. They had a system of politics which divided out nobles from commoners, and many, many other traits that characterize this fantastic civilization.
The sparkling jewel in the crown of the Aztec Empire was their capital, which was built on the same location where Mexico City stands today. Called Tenochtitlan, it was a magnificent floating metropolis on Lake Texcoco.
Tenochtitlan in its heyday was likely the largest city in the world, population of about 150 to 200,000 residents, larger than Paris. It is located on an island in the middle of Lake Texcoco. That island metropolis is connected to the mainland by 4 major causeways that connect it and allow it to engage in economic trade.
All of the causeways out to the mainland from their capital island city had garden after garden after garden. As you walked through the city, you walked through this just beautiful botanical landscape. There were more rivers than there were walking paths. Everyone that lived in the town had a canoe parked outside like their home.
The Aztecs built their capital, Tenochtitlan, there in that lake. They built pyramids and other structures there aligned with the Pleiades and to other planets and solar systems as well. At its height, the Aztec Empire controlled over 80,000 square miles and more than 5 million people. The Aztecs were not only one of the greatest civilizations anywhere in the world, but also the most feared. This stemmed from a widespread religious practice that was equal parts terrifying and mysterious: human sacrifice.
The main temple in the city of Tenochtitlan, we call it the Templo Mayor. It was actually a double temple. One side was dedicated to Huitzilopochtli, the war god, the other one to Tlaloc, the rain god. So it was a place central to the city. All of the major festivals took place at its base and around it. But its first and foremost function was sacrifice.
Opening this pyramid, over 20,000 men, women, and children were sacrificed to gods. The reasoning was that the gods needed the blood to keep the universe in order and also to appease all of the gods.
The Aztecs had an understanding of the world as being ordered by order and chaos, and their gods had to be appeased. And so that meant human sacrifice on a regular basis as part of religious expression and religious ritual.
But if the Aztecs felt compelled to perform human sacrifice to appease the gods, who taught them this? Ancient astronaut theorists suggest the answer can be found by examining the hundreds of Aztec historical documents that have survived until today, and their accounts of powerful beings who came from the stars. Mexico City, March 20, 2024. A team of historians working closely with the National Museum of Anthropology makes an incredible unforeseen Aztec texts called codices that have been hidden away in the family archive for hundreds of years.
We have documents about Aztec life and history. We call them codices. The ones that are made in Mexico in their fashion are fan-fold books. They're a single piece of a mate bark paper that folds out like an accordion. They tell us all sorts of information about Aztec origins, Aztec politics, and who conquered who.
The codices have provided historians detailed accounts of the Aztec government, trade, and religious beliefs. But most interesting to ancient astronaut theorists is a set of pages known as the Codex Borderanium that tells the Aztec origin story.
When it comes to the origins of the Aztecs, they claim to have originated from some mythical land called Aztlan.
The name Aztec means people of Aztlan. To them, Aztlan was their original homeland. It was this Edenic paradise. It was a land with a lake and an island, very peaceful.
In the accounts of the Aztecs, Aztlan is a real place. It's not some sort of heaven or other world. It's somewhere to the north.
According to the Aztec legend, in the middle of Aztlan stood a steep hill, and inside was a mysterious cave with 7 chambers called Chico-Mostan. The Aztecs say that from here, all the people of Mesoamerica emerged after a visit from an otherworldly being. Aztlan was the domain of a goddess named Coatlicue. She is a creator goddess. And in Aztec mythology, she brings this flip knife to earth and she places it in the 7 caves. And from within these 7 caves then emerged all the tribes, including the Aztecs. This flip knife descended from the sky into the 7 caves of Aztlan. And you have to wonder what this giant flint thing was. Was it perhaps an extraterrestrial craft? The original stories of somebody descending from the sky and imparting knowledge happened in reality by flesh and blood extraterrestrials whom our ancestors misinterpreted as gods. Why were our ancestors considering them as gods? Well, because they descended from the sky. Could the Aztec legend of a flint knife descending from the sky be describing an extraterrestrial craft? As far as ancient astronaut theorists are concerned, even more intriguing are the striking similarities that exist between descriptions of Aztlan and the legendary lost city of Atlantis, a place that was said to be ruled by otherworldly beings. There are some very provocative similarities between the stories of Aztlan and Atlantis. They're both considered to be Edenic sort of paradises. They both have canals or waterways. They were both described as circular. In fact, when you look at paintings of Tenochtitlan and compare them with paintings of Atlantis, they're virtually interchangeable. And then when you remove the Z, Aztlan is actually Atlan or Atlantis. Is it possible that the Aztecs' ancient homeland of Aztlan was in fact the lost city of Atlantis? Perhaps further clues about this otherworldly origin story can be found by examining a mysterious ancient site just north of the Aztec capital. Teotihuacan, Mexico. This impressive complex, encompassing nearly 8 square miles, is home to 2 of the largest pyramids on Earth. The Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon. The ancient city is believed to have been built sometime around the 1st century AD, but just who built it remains a mystery.
One of the more interesting things about Teotihuacan is the fact that we don't know who built it, but there's no question that Teotihuacan was a metropolis.
Teotihuacan, before the Aztecs, was the largest city ever constructed in Mesoamerica. At its height, it had somewhere around 200,000 people living there. It had the most massive pyramids that had ever been built.
In the 1977 book, Mysteries of the Mexican Pyramids, written by Peter Tompkins, engineer Hugh Holliston Jr. mapped Teotihuacan and declared that its buildings have a profound connection to the stars. What's so fascinating there is that many of these pyramids there align directly with our planets in our solar system, including Pluto. Now, officially, Pluto was not discovered until the 1930s. So, how did the people of Teotihuacan know about Pluto? Well, the answer to that is that somebody told them. And who told them? The extraterrestrials. In their codices, the Aztecs called Teotihuacan the birthplace of the gods, and described hundreds of otherworldly beings arriving on Earth at this location. But as far as ancient astronaut theorists are concerned, the notion that extraterrestrials once inhabited Teotihuacan is supported by physical evidence that was discovered at the site in 2015. Beneath Teotihuacan's third largest pyramid, called the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, a team of archaeologists unearthed a series of tunnels containing some very curious substances. Mexican archaeologists opened up a tunnel that had been sealed for the past 1,800 years. When they went inside, they found this liquid mercury. And there's no other reason for the Aztecs or any other culture to have been using liquid mercury unless it had some technological purpose. Another discovery was large sheets of mica in chambers within the pyramid. Mica is used in computers, and also it is used as a heating shield in space travel. So now, what does that do underneath Teotihuacan? We know that spinning of mercury can actually create some type of electromagnetic lift. So mica, mercury, these are all high signs of something technological, something involving high heat, either a capacitor or some type of lifting mechanism. So it has been suggested that the pyramids at Teotihuacan were energy devices, very high-tech stuff. So you have to wonder if, in a way, this is also probably extraterrestrial technology. Does Teotihuacan contain physical evidence that the hundreds of gods the Aztecs documented in their codices were in fact alien visitors? Perhaps further clues can be found by examining the Aztec god that the Temple of the Feathered Serpent was built to honor, Quetzalcoatl. Teotihuacan, Mexico. At the southern end of this ancient metropolis stands the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. Its magnificent facade is embellished with numerous ornate stone statues of a snakehead ringed in feathers. This visage depicts one of the most prominent gods worshipped throughout Mesoamerica, a being known to the Aztecs as Quetzalcoatl.
Quetzalcoatl was undoubtedly one of the major gods for multiple civilizations in Mesoamerica. A particular characteristic of the Quetzalcoatl is the feathers on the bottom of his body that really denote the deity.
Quetzalcoatl is one of the, if not the primary Mesoamerican god. He's a god of light, a god of wisdom, a god of healing, and ultimately a peacemaker. In their codices, the Aztecs write about Quetzalcoatl teaching their ancestors various disciplines that were essential to establishing their vast civilization. Quetzalcoatl descended from the sky in physical form and taught the local populations in different scientific disciplines.